Welcome. Very glad you're here, both here present and here digitally out in the ethers there. We're, um, we're meeting today. It is August 22nd, 2021, and we are in the sanctuary of the Center for Spiritual Living Bellingham. In gratitude today, I want to just take a moment to have us think together, bring our minds and hearts together in gratitude for all the people who have supported us along our way. The teachers, those who supported us and saw our gifts and saw our dreams, and were the ones that said, yes, yes, my love, go, do, be. So as you think about those in your life, and I think about those in my life, may we each be that for one another and the generations that are coming up. And with this understanding, I'm delighted to introduce you once again to a delightful musician and speaker. Her name is Lisa Ferraro, and she's joining us today to give us some wonderful music. Lisa?
Good morning. It is so wonderful to be with all of you again. And Reverend Andrea, it's always a treat. This is a song reminding us all that we are one in the spirit. As we salsa with spirit, we are one in the spirit of God. You'll catch on right away. We are one in the spirit of God. We are one in the spirit of God. We are one, we are one, we are one, we are one. We are one in the spirit of God, in the spirit of peace. We are one in the spirit of peace. We are one in the spirit of peace. We are one, we are one, we are one, we are one. We are one in the spirit of peace, in the spirit of love. We are one in the spirit of love. We are one in the spirit of love. We are one, we are one, we are one, we are one. We are one in the spirit of love, in the spirit of God. We are one in the spirit of God. We are one in the spirit of God. We are one, we are one, we are one, we are one. We are one in the spirit of God.
Well, all of you beautiful parts of the one out there this morning, it's so good to see you. Welcome. Glad that we could be together and feel this wonderful connection this morning. Please join me in prayer. As the song just said, we are one with the eternal and infinite flowing river of the good, the divine love, ever moving forward, and the creator of all that is, and every dance we ever dance. We only need to look at nature to remind us. The bending grass, that the wind bends and it dances back and forth. The amazing jitterbug of the aspen leaves trembling. The beautiful, undefinable flight of the fluttering wings of the butterfly. All of this and more. This is the presence within. Sharing and being the truth that they truly are. And we join together now, knowing the dance that we dance is always showing the love of the light within And we know this is what we see in every face, every pair of eyes we gaze into. We see that, and we know it is the truth of the flow, and we dance with great joy. And so it is. This is Wanda Maddox, and I'm enjoying being part of your service this morning. And I am ever so happy to be able to say that next we're going to hear from Dr. Andrea. Oh, we have another song from Lisa? Oh, well, and then we're going to hear from Dr. Andrea and learn how to salsa.
Thank you for that beautiful prayer. And I received a really lovely note in the chat from Aaron reminding me that you're in the house today. So I would love for you to sing along with this one. I know everybody knows the lyrics to this next song. It's something Erika and I did. It's there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And I'll keep it going. And if you hear the harmony parts, or if you were ever in one of our Sillamore choirs, you'll know, sing your part. But it's just that mantra of remembrance. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And then the sacred resonance with that realization that there's only one life. So we learn how to salsa with spirit. I love this topic today, Reverend Andrea. I don't know a salsa, but I know a samba. And this is one written by Erika, and it's called Shine. And when we remember samba, that we are dancing in that one life. We can salsa, zumba, and I can't wait to hear the message on this. But this song is called Shine. In my heart, in my soul, in the joy of what we know, there's one life, one love, God. In my heart, in my soul, in the joy of what we know, there's one light, one love, God. In my heart, in my soul, in the joy of what we know, there's one light, one love, God. In all I say and all I do, let this divine light shine, shine, shine. Let this divine light shine. In my heart, in my soul, in the joy of what we know, there's one light, one love, God. In my heart, in my soul, in the joy of what we know, there's one light, one love, God. In all I say, in all I do, let this divine light shine, shine, shine. Let this divine light shine, 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 shine.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Wanda. Okay, so let's be clear. The topic today is salsa with spirit, and we're not talking about this, okay? No, we're talking about the dance move, and so I'm going to ask all of you here to stand up, and all of you out in virtual land, you stand up too. I mean it. Doesn't matter if you've got a coffee table in front of you, because salsa doesn't take much. Okay, so do this with me. So salsa is super simple. Seemingly. So you go like this. You start with your left foot, very small step, and you go step forward, step back. Okay, so it goes 1, 2, 3, and then you do back with your right foot. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. You know salsa! Yay! Okay, you can have a seat. Now you can do sideways with that same step. And yeah, if it was only that simple. But I'll tell you a story. Joe and I had the privilege of going to Cuba a few years ago. You may remember I talked a little bit about that. And in preparation, because we were very excited to experience the music of Cuba, and it was incredible. It was absolutely everything we expected and more than that. But we decided that we would take salsa lessons here in town. And right at first, it was, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And then it got a little harder. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And then it got really hard because there were spins and then you had to do it with someone. And so we were working on it when we got on the plane, and we got there, and it's the home of salsa. So we decided that we were in this little very ancient town, and they had arranged salsa lessons for our whole group. So we all went and decided beforehand that we would be okay if we all looked really stupid. And we did. And so, but they did a great job. Young Cuban people, obviously been doing salsa since they were like 2. And they really got us going. And then, of course, the final was that we were to go to a venue and do salsa with all the locals. It was not good. It was not pretty, but it was really fun to watch everybody else. But what struck me as I was learning salsa is this: 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So where's the 4 and where's the 8? I don't know about you, but I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But nobody ever said 4 and 8. And as I was thinking about the theme for the month, Dancing on the Edge, I was thinking about, well, that's what makes salsa sexy, is that pause, is not moving, is like doing the 1, 2, 3, and then there's this pause. And when you're watching everybody who really, really does salsa well, they use that pause. So they're throwing their hips around and then they're pausing, and then they're throwing their hips around and then they're pausing, and it's beautiful and it's fun to watch. And someday maybe I'll look like that. So I brought you a story. It's a children's story, which sometimes for me, the children's stories are really the most powerful teachers that we have. And this one actually, I was listening to a Dharma talk by one of my friends, Jack Cornfield, and Jack was telling the story. So I downloaded it, and we'll see if I can read it to you because it's short. And maybe you remember, if you had kids about the same time I did, there's a series of books called Frog and Toad Are Friends. And Frog and Toad, as is true of so many children's stories, act a lot like sacred humans. And so this is a story called The Garden. Frog was in his garden. Toad came walking by. "What a fine garden you have, Frog," he said. "Yes," said Frog, "it is very nice, but it was hard work." "I wish I had a garden," said Toad. "Well, here are some flower seeds. Plant them in the ground," said Frog, "and soon you will have a garden." "How soon?" asked Toad. "Quite soon," said Frog. Toad ran home. He planted the flower seeds. "Now, seeds," said Toad, "start growing." Toad walked up and down a few times. The seeds did not start growing. Toad put his head close to the ground and said loudly, "Now, seeds, start growing." Toad looked at the ground again. The seeds did not start growing. Toad put his head very close to the ground and shouted, "Now, seeds, start growing." Frog came running up the path. "What's all this noise?" he asked. "My seeds will not grow," said Toad. "Well, you're shouting too much," said Frog. "Those poor seeds are afraid to grow." "My seeds are afraid to grow?" said Toad. "Of course," said Frog. "Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them. Let the rain fall on them. Soon your seeds will start to grow." That night, Toad looked out his window. "Drat," said Toad, "my seeds have not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark." Toad went out to his garden with some candles. "I will read the seeds a story," said Toad. "Then they will not be afraid." So Toad read a long story to his seeds. All the next day, Toad sang songs to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad read poems to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad played music for his seeds. Toad looked at the ground. The seeds still did not want to grow. "What shall I do?" cried Toad. "These must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world." Then Toad felt very tired, and he fell asleep. "Toad, Toad, wake up," said Frog. "Look at your garden." Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming up out of the ground. At last, shouted Toad, my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow. And now you will have a nice garden too, said Frog. Yes, said Toad, but you were right. It was very hard work. So for me, one of the biggest challenges on the spiritual path is the pause, is the 1, 2, 3, stop. 5, 6, 7, stop. And in order to really practice the pause, we have to develop what Frog understood from being a gardener and that Toad learned the hard way. We have to develop some patience with the process. We have to actually allow things to unfold and be as they are so that they can come into their own expression. This is not always easy, and it requires something that in recovery movement, there's a slogan. They have a lot of really wonderful slogans in recovery, and one of them that's a favorite of a friend of mine goes like this: acceptance is the key to freedom. You ever heard that? So annoying. Acceptance is the key to freedom, because when does someone say a slogan like that to you or me? Usually when we're caught with being upset about something that's not going the way we thought it would, sort of like Toad, thinking that if you just put them in the ground, the seeds would just immediately sprout. And I don't know if you've had that kind of experience in your life where you were expecting something and it wasn't happening exactly the way you thought. Anybody? Maybe it was love. Maybe it was success. Maybe it was enlightenment. I don't know what it was for you, but I know that many a time, acceptance is the key to freedom was a phrase that if anybody had been around, they would have said to me because I wasn't feeling very accepting. And the reason I'm bringing this up to you is I had a recent experience of this. I've been surrounded by, and I imagine you have too, a lot of divisiveness among many people that I dearly care about. You know what I'm talking about. Mask, no mask. Vaccine, no vaccine. And it's said like that. And it's projected like that. And there's a lot of judgment in that. And as someone that has been teaching for decades, the practice of loving kindness and compassionate regard, it became more and more and more troubling to me to be surrounded in spiritual community with people who seem to have forgotten the compass of the heart. The compass of the heart, meaning that in every spiritual tradition I know, the practice is to become more truly loving, more kind, more compassionate, more accepting. And it's not just about others, but it's about self as well. And it takes a lot of patience to work with people who don't look at the world in the same way. And so spiritual community is a practice ground for global community. Because certainly there are so many people that I would love to not like. How about you? And so I use our spiritual community as a practicing ground to seat myself very deeply in loving kindness, compassionate regard, and the other wonderful attributes that spiritual life brings, so that I can go out into the global community and be a light, be a lamp in the darkness, sort of like Toad lighting candles for his seeds. So how do we do that? Well, if we're really doing salsa with spirit, we learn that there's a time to pause and there's a time to act. There's a time to pause and there's a time to act. And it's sexy, that pause. Now, I know you probably didn't think that meditation was sexy, But on one level, it really is, because it allows this space to occur where lots can come into clarity. So there's an old expression in the Science of Mind teachings. We call our form of prayer spiritual mind treatment. And so it goes like this: treat, and then move your feet. And you'll notice the order of that sentence. Treat, that would be the pause, and then move your feet, then act. And interestingly, a Zen teacher of mine used to say that there are only two instructions in Zen: sit and sweep the garden. Sit and sweep the garden. And what she meant by that is that when we allow ourselves to practice, whether it's through the practice of spiritual mind treatment, Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, whatever the spiritual practice is that is bringing the pause, that place of groundedness to you and to me, that's first. And then we sweep the garden. What does that mean? It means that at that point, we can look out into our life and we can see what needs to be done and what needs to not be done. We can see both with great clarity, and therefore we know exactly what to do and not to do. It's wonderful. A friend of mine, maybe you have a friend like this, often says it this way. She says, well, I practice in the morning so that I know what's mine to do with the rest of the day. What's mine to do is such a great term because, there's lots that can be done, but the discernment that comes from treating, sitting, allows us to know what's ours and what isn't, what we can let go of or allow something else to occur. Just like Frog kept saying, hey, you're scaring your seeds. You don't need to be that active. Allow them to be and they'll show up. And the same is true for us. Allow ourselves to be and center ourselves and ground ourselves. And then what is ours to do will show up. So I was playing with this concept, and my friend Jack was telling more about this story, and he was talking about a friend of his. Maybe you've heard of her. Her name is Tulstrim Alioni, and she is an American Tibetan Lama. And she brought to the United States a very powerful practice called Chud. And Chud is translated loosely as feeding your demons. And it's a very deep practice that essentially you encounter the things that are difficult and you ask them what they need. And then you imagine yourself dissolving into this golden honey that contains within it what the demon needs. And you begin to feed the demon what it needs. So she was doing this practice with her husband, and they built this beautiful retreat center in Colorado, and he died suddenly. And it just rocked her world. I mean, everything she had planned had gone out the window. I hope no one said to her right at that point, acceptance is the key to freedom, as true as that may be. But what she ended up doing was going back to Nepal and consulting with her teacher, the 17th Karmapa. And he gave her a task to do in her grief. He said he wanted her to go on a journey and visit the 10 difficult places. And turns out that the 10 difficult places are all in Nepal and India, and they're charnel grounds. You know what that is? A charnel ground in those cultures is where they take dead bodies. And they, depending on the culture, they either chop them up or they burn them. And so her assignment was to go to 10 of these places and sit for 3 days at each of them. So she took some friends, and she would arrive at the charnel grounds in her Lama robes, and she would sit and practice. And these are not sanitary places. These are not American, hospitality centers. These are full of really hard sights and smells and sounds. And I won't go into detail, but you can imagine. And so she reported to Jack that she was sitting in one of these grounds and sitting in meditation when in the middle of the night, like 1 or 2 in the morning, a man came with a machete and he began chopping things. And she was absolutely filled with terror. And yet she had set the compass of her heart for freedom and to practice. And so she didn't do what the terror was telling her to do. She sat instead in practice. And what happened was extraordinary for her. It changed her life. All of that terror drained away, and she was left in this place of total freedom and peace that actually has never left her since then. And I tell you this story because for me, one of the challenges of our time now is that in a sense, we're sort of sitting in a charnel ground, aren't we? It's not as gruesome, at least sights and sounds aren't as immediate, but it's very difficult. It may be the most difficult time you and I have ever walked through, sat in, tried to be in as spiritual people. Would you agree? Yeah, it's very difficult. And it's easy to become very disappointed, disillusioned, to feel tremendous depression, to be sort of like Tulstream Alioni in a place of deep grief. Not just grief for those who have been lost or who are sick, but grief for the life we've lost, individually and collectively. And you know, the story that she told Jack really spoke to 2 of the things that you and I are working on. And we can set the compass of our heart in such a way that we can work with these things. The first is judgment. Judgment of self, wicked, and judgment of others. We can set the compass of our heart to acknowledge that actually we don't know what's right for anybody else. We can pretend we do. We can think we know. We can be all righteous about it. But actually, when you really get right down to it, sitting in the charnel ground of our existence right now, we don't know. And so letting go of judgment, not assuming that the man wielding the machete is out to come and murder me, but instead sitting with the intention of being loving kindness, having compassionate regard, and deep curiosity about how everything is unfolding will help us enormously through this time. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand how incredibly juicy judgment can be. I come from a long line of Irish people. I don't know if I need to say anything else. But it was a very popular thing to always have black and white, right and wrong, and you knew where you were. So because of that, I've practiced diligently to let go of that view and to practice non-judgment of self and others. I can tell it's going to be a life practice for me. But I tell you that even as little as I've been able to move the needle on that, I've become freer and freer. So if only in your own self-interest, drop the judgment. Drop it. The second thing that Tulstream's story told me was about fear. We're working with a lot of fear, aren't we? Not only our own, but everybody else's. And it's actually the fear that has been very difficult for me, not my own fear, but everybody else's, to work with. Because I've never experienced fear being particularly helpful, honestly. When I'm afraid, I don't know about you, but when I'm afraid, my mind shuts off. All my logical, rational neocortex, gone. And instead I'm fight or flight or freeze all the time. And so for me, it's been also a goal, a compass of my heart to work with fear and not allow it to subsume me at such a level that I can't think anymore, that I can't practice anymore, that I can't be present anymore, that I'm so focused on survival that I can't be there for anybody else or even myself. These two things, judgment and fear, are rampant right now in our culture. And I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I can tell you that if it really got to me, I imagine it's getting to you too. And that this is the time for us to step out and step up and set the compass of our heart again for our true north, to the place we want to experience life. Not because we're ostriches sticking our heads in the sand saying, it's not going to get me or whatever, but rather because we've made a choice to be deliberately, consciously awake and to be a light, a lamp in the darkness, to be the one that can fearlessly stand, taking all the precautions we feel we need to from a rational perspective, but not allowing ourselves to be absent because we're so terrified or so angry or so mired in what fear and judgment bring. I hope for myself and I hope for you that we can find that place, that true north, and live from that. But I'll tell you what the science of mind says about that. Whenever we set the compass of our heart and begin to move with that, what will occur is obstacles. Happens every time. As soon as you say, I want to be love in action, the person that you've had the most difficulty loving shows up. It never fails. So before I leave you today, I want to make sure you realize that your practice is not at fault if all of a sudden when you've said, I'm going to be the loving, kindness, compassionate, regarding person that I've always wanted to be, and instantly in full view is the thing that you've had the most difficult time with. You're doing everything right. It just doesn't feel like it. Because where are you going to practice? You're going to practice with the things that have been difficult. If it was easy, the seeds would sprout immediately. But they need the sun of your attention and the rain of your love to sprout. So please join me in a prayer. One, two, three. Pause. I open my heart and my mind, knowing that there is a divine flowing energy that is moving in me and in you and in all things. It is constantly and ever offering itself, offering what it is, the knowledge, the intelligence, the wisdom, the love, the capacity for more, the enlightenment. It's all there, flowing, flowing, flowing through all of us. And in the pause, I sit in that awareness and I feel it moving in me. I see it moving in you. And I know what to do and what not to do. In that pause, I set the compass of my heart to my true north, allowing myself to remember and commit once again on a daily basis to be the highest and best version of who I am. And then I move 5, 6, 7. I'm out in the world, throwing my hips around, being the person that I am, guided by that intention. And when obstacles come, as surely they will, the pause at the end helps me remember, oh yeah, that's what I am. That's what I want to be. That's what I'm committing to. And I start again. I'm supported in this by a love that has no limit in me or at all, by a vast intelligence that knows exactly how to do what I am intending and is doing it by means of me. And so I grow. I grow like toad's seeds with the sun of awareness and the rain of love. I grow. And I'm grateful. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. So the ushers are going to come forward with an offertory basket. Those listening, if you're listening, we will graciously accept donations anytime you want. And Lisa is going to sing for us while we're having this offertory.
Thank you for that wonderful message. This is a reminder of that, setting that compass. This is lyrics from Dr. Maya Angelou, and I put some music to it. It's called "Nothing Can Dim This Light That Shines From Within." Nothing can dim this light that shines from within. Nothing can dim this light that shines from within. Nothing can dim this light that shines from within. Light that shines from within. Nothing can dim this light that shines from within. Nothing can dim this light that shines from within. Nothing can dim this light that shines from within. Light that shines from within. Nothing can dim this light that shines from within. Nothing can dim this light that shines from within. Nothing can dim this light that shines from within. Light that shines from within. Light that shines from within. Hey, yeah.
So a couple of announcements. This Wednesday, I am doing the last of a series of soul collage workshops. And these soul collage, anybody not know what that is? Okay. Soul collage is a wonderful technique that uses collage without words, just images, to access an internal knowing that we carry, but we aren't necessarily in touch with. And this Wednesday's theme is the deeper question. So we're going to be opening ourselves to the wisdom that we carry that maybe isn't accessible yet, and allow the deeper question to be asked so that we get some answers. So this workshop is from 4 to 6 here in the sanctuary. We're going to be physically spaced, and we ask you to wear a mask. Very beautiful experience. If the weather turns and it's a little warmer, we might even be outside. So you're encouraged, if this sounds like something that would be of assistance to you, to come and be part of it. As a soul collage facilitator, I can tell you that often I am still amazed at what comes through the images for my guidance. It's really beautiful. So that's this Wednesday, 4 to 6 p.m. As many of you know, I have invited a wonderful woman named Zina Kacha to come and be my assistant minister in 2022. Very excited about that. And so I have invited her to teach a class this fall so that we can all start getting to know her. And I would really love you to consider going to this class for a couple of reasons. Not only because it would be a great way to know this woman who's going to be serving in our community, but because the class she's teaching is one of those classes that is life transforming and the basic bottom line of the science of mind philosophy. That's why it's called the Foundations class. It's a class that teaches you the deep deep things that we've learned along the way as practitioners and ministers, but also as people that just attend. It's an incredible opportunity to awaken to a greater expression. And so I want you to consider coming. She's going to begin teaching on September 22nd, and it's a Wednesday, so it goes for 8 consecutive Wednesdays. And in there is a half-day retreat where we really dive deep into some of the ideas and apply them in very wonderful ways in a retreat setting. So if you'd like to come, we encourage you to sign up right now. The only textbook that's required is the Science of Mind textbook, and we do have loaner copies if you would like to reserve one of those. So you can register by contacting by email the center office, and then let us know that you'd like a loaner copy if you need one of those, and you'll be all set for the 22nd. The class goes from 6 to 8:30 in the evening, and we'd love you to be a part of it. The practitioners do a wonderful thing. How many of you have been part of the 7 a.m. morning prayer Zoom? How many? What? What? You're missing this incredible opportunity. Yes, I know it's 7 o'clock. I get it. So this is what I do. I have enough product in my hair most days that when I wake up, I don't really want people to see me early in the morning. So I go and I make a cup of coffee and I go sit in my chair and I open the Zoom room for the morning prayer and I turn the video off so that they see this lovely picture of me, but not what I really look like. The prayer is about 3 to 4 minutes long, and it's such a beautiful way to do what I was talking about. Sit and then sweep the garden. So you're invited into that. They also, for those of you who have not seen 7 a.m. for decades, have a closure day with gratitude opportunity for you. And that is at 8:45, which I haven't seen in decades, really. And again, the Zooming where you tune in and there's music and there's an opportunity to express gratitude, and it's beautiful. So 8:45 p.m. Both of those are really available to you and love you to take part in. Now, there's something that's not in the announcements yet that I thought you might like to know about, and mark your calendars if it feels like something that is yours to do. With the waves of COVID that have started up again, our hospital here is full again. And the staff had not recovered from the last wave. And they're exhausted and dispirited and recently experienced protests that were really depressing for many of them because they're working their butts off. So some friends and I were talking, and we have a slogan here: "Let love be our legacy." And so we decided that we wanted to show these people some love, because I really appreciate the healthcare workers. I don't know about you, but I couldn't do that job if you paid me $1 million. Body fluids gross me out. So I'm so grateful they're there, and I want them to know that. And so on the 12th of September, which is a Sunday, at 3 o'clock, a little before 3 o'clock, we're going to meet at the employee entrance of St. Joseph's Hospital. We've purchased a whole bunch, I'm talking a whole bunch, 900 individually wrapped pieces of lovely chocolate to give to every single unit and floor as a sweet treat for them when they're flagging in energy. But what's more important than the sweetness of that is the sweetness of our love directed to them. So we're inviting any of you who like to drum to bring your drum, and we'll do a little drumming. I don't know what we'll do other than maybe we'll just say thank you through our masks. I don't know. But it's a way to let them know how deeply appreciated they are in this very difficult walk. So I hope you'll come, and I'll tell you again next couple of weeks. Right now, gosh, it's time to go. And what I wanted to let you know, in case this is your first time here, is in the back of our room there on the right, behind our ushers, there is a prayer vessel. And next to it are prayer request forms that you can fill out. And our practitioner, Wanda, today will be doing prayer for anyone who would like to have a prayer request put in the vessel. She also will be in the back for a little bit if you have any questions for her. So don't forget that that's an opportunity too. And thank you for coming. Having a live audience, even if I can't see your whole face, is delightful. Thank you.
Remembering that you are the light, taking that light and love into the world, delivering that chocolate, whatever it is you're doing. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light of the world. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light of the world. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light, we are the light of the world. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light of the world. I trust in me, I trust in you to shine. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light of the world. Yes, we are the light, we are the light, we are the light of the world. Look at someone next to you and say, you are the light. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light of the world. Yes, you are. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light of the world. I trust in me, I trust in me, I trust in you, I trust in you to shine. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light of the world. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light, we are the light of the world. And what do lights do? They shine. Shine. Peace and blessings. Thank you.